Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing Big Joke yet again in the news. For those who are unaware, this is Surachat Big Joke Hakpan, who is presently the Deputy National Police Chief. We've kind of been following him on this channel ever since his meteoric rise through the immigration ranks, and then he had a substantial impact on Thai immigration policy, especially with regard to enforcement and administration of Thai immigration law. And this I thought was a rather interesting article. This is from the Bangkok Post, bangkokpost.com. Article is titled, Bar Raid Sex Claim Hit Phuket. Quoting directly, night entertainment operators in Patong Beach and Phuket say their businesses have lost about 100 million baht in the past week following a raid on a local bar operated by a foreigner who allegedly employed girls aged under 18 as sex workers. Wirawit Krusombat, chairman of Patong Entertainment Business Association, yesterday met night spot operators to come up with measures to prevent venues from becoming involved in illegal activities, including drugs and procuring minors to have sex. Quoting further, Deputy National Police Chief Police General Surachat Hakpan said on Saturday the bar was operated by a foreigner identified only as Ronnie, who has reportedly fled to Laos. And I urge those who are watching this video, go check out that article in detail. A lot of good information in there. A lot of information regarding clearly, and we've discussed this previously in other videos, you know, Big Joke as well as Thai law enforcement, the law enforcement apparatus in general, has been serious about human trafficking. And let me be even clearer, they're very serious about child trafficking. And if I could make a personal statement, you know, full disclosure on all that, you know, we've discussed Big Joke on this channel many, many times. You know, I've had my own reservations about certain policy endeavors that he undertook or enforcement endeavors. On this one, I have to say, keep up the good work because, yeah, this needs to be torn out root and branch from Thailand. We don't need any of this. And let's be clear so that people don't misunderstand this report. This is a rather anomalous situation insofar as this is not a broad practice in Thailand. You know, child trafficking is taken very, very seriously. And I think it's interesting, and I do sympathize with these business owners who say they've lost 100 million baht. But at the same time, I can understand the desire, if you will, on the part of law enforcement authorities to send a message that, hey, if you get involved with that, there's going to be nasty ramifications. And moreover, if that's happening in the vicinity of even otherwise legitimate businesses, if they don't take affirmative steps to curb at the least or to at least notify relevant authorities that this kind of, honestly, there's no other word for it, crap is going on, then, you know, I can see where that there's sort of a thinking that it would be a good idea to have some measures in place to try to prevent this, act as a deterrent, if you will, to prevent this from happening again. When I was reading this article, I thought, and this brought me back to years ago, going back into the 90s, folks, and you know, I'm sort of showing my age a little bit here, but I remember, and this is back in the talk radio days, so for those who, you know, predate the YouTube era, and I know there are a lot of folks that are young now and watching these videos and things, yeah, there was an era pre-YouTube, pre-internet, and in the talk radio era, I remember being relatively young, but I was driving, so I was not that young, and listening to G. Gordon Liddy, of all people, just on talk radio. And I remember him talking about being part of the FBI. And my opinion, G. Gordon was an interesting person to listen to because there were things that I just thought he was kind of off the wall about, and then there were other things that I found very interesting. But he had talked about, there was a time that he worked in law enforcement, I believe it was the FBI, and he had talked about how, especially in matters pertaining to like lost children or kidnapping or these kind of issues, that they would oftentimes be able to go to the local sort of the mob, basically, you know, the local kind of wise guys, whatever you want to call it, in certain locations because they had the authority, for example, just one example over, you know, dealing with liquor licenses or liquor distribution. And they could go to these folks who didn't necessarily have anything to do with this activity, but were sort of periphery to it and didn't otherwise really like to cooperate with the police particularly. But when it came to matters pertaining to children and those kinds of things, child trafficking, they could show up in a heartbeat and say, hey, look, we got a problem. This is going on. We've got evidence to suggest this is going on. And oftentimes there'd be some pretty instantaneous cooperation between those parties because, one, they didn't want their operation messed with. And at the same time, quite honestly, no decent person wants child trafficking occurring. It's just a fact. Nobody wants that. Thailand's no different. And as we've discussed in other videos, and as can be seen in headlines, for example, in other articles in the Bangkok Post, Big Joke has taken it upon himself to, the TIPS report, Trafficking in Persons report. Thailand is very serious, and Big Joke seems particularly acutely serious about this. In fact, we did a video about him meeting the ambassador at large from the United States regarding trafficking. This getting Thailand further up the list on the TIPS report, major priority here in Thailand, because honestly, trafficking is evil, not especially, evil generally, but the type of evil we're talking about in the context of children is just really beyond words. And, again, I'm reasonable people may be able to disagree with things that Big Joke has done with respect to things like immigration policy in the past or something like this. But on this one, I got to say, yeah, sort of keep up the good work.